Legend. Yeah, definitely. So gonna leave this for a bit to run through. Right, brother. How you doing?
I'm all good. How are you? Good to be
Not
here.
bad, fella. Yeah. Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, where was you born and raised?
I was born and I was born in Slough, but you know where I'm from. I'm from your neck of the woods. I'm from the Bronx. I'm from North London, Burnt Oak, Edgware. I'm from those sides. So I grew up in North London, and when I got a little bit older, probably around 15, my folks moved out of London up towards the Luton area. So kind of that's it there. But most of my, I guess, formative years were in North London.
Yeah, cool. So what like growing up, you know, what music was you listening to?
Electro, hip hop, really that was it, you know. So when we were like hitting 11, 12, the electro was blowing up from New York. Everyone was breakdancing, body popping, graffiti. So that was it really. It was growing up in that kind of hotbed of sampling break beats and mixing them with drum machines, and it kind of really stayed with me throughout, I guess, all my music.
I think everyone went through that phase, didn't they? So when like I think, you know, for me, I'm probably the same as you, Blame. Like you listen to all the electros, you know, the African Bambatas and stuff like that. You know, I still got electros there up to I don't
Yeah.
know 22 or whatever the case may
Mm.
be. So you know, growing up like that. So I've got I want to hear the story about Music Takes You, because even today, when you hear that song, mate, that still puts goosebumps on my arms. You know, I'm like,
Mm.
I'm gonna call it hardcore because that's what I
That's what it that that's what we were calling it back then anyway.
So just not, you know, give us a lowdown, like you know. Oh, before that, you was a graffiti artist before that, yeah.
I think so. I can't either confirm nor deny that. But
So
yeah.
all right, you know, so obviously, yeah. All right, we're bypass that because
No, yeah, I was, yeah.
right.
That's
So
where the name come from anyway.
right, okay. So let's move on to Music Takes You, because that's you. I think I saw in like an interview something about the seal thing, but I'll just give us a little bit of a lowdown on Music
Well,
Takes You.
what happened was, so when I was studying, I was at college, I was doing graphic design, and I'd always loved music. So I'd always listen to music, but I'd always be breaking it apart in my mind. Like I'd be like, oh, I love them drums, or I love that bass sound, or I love those vocals. But I didn't really know why I'd break music down. I couldn't quite listen to it like everyone else. I'd always be trying to pick things apart, but I never knew that I had a love for music production. It was just a weird way I'd listen to music. And then one of my friends at Dunstable College, he says he was doing a media course, and he said, oh, I've got work experience in this recording studio. Want to come down and have a look? So I went down there, and they didn't pay him no money, but they said to him, it was Justice actually, the guy that I used to do tracks with, Blame and Justice. So
I
they
forget
said
about
to him,
Justice, man.
yeah, so they said to him, look, we're not going to pay you, it's work experience, but we'll give you 4 free hours of studio time at the end of the week. So he said, do you want to come down and try it? And we were like, all right, well, we got this little breakbeat here. We got this little bass sound. And we just turned up with a few records. We made a track. It was called Death Row. It ended up coming out on a label called Chill Records. I don't know if you remember, it was black with the yellow chill it had on it.
You're on about like NRG and things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, NRG's label, yeah. So I couldn't believe it. That, hold on a minute, you go in there for 4 hours, you can come out of a record. So about a few weeks later, I saved up some money, because really it was back then, you know what I mean, it was like £7.50 an hour. You had to be quite shrewd to save up your money, because you didn't know how long you're going to be in there. So I saved up, I had enough, and I went in, I booked it, and I took some samples. I loved the Run's House break, Run DMC. So I took that with me, and I took a few samples, and I'd heard that Seal track, I'd seen it on the TV and I thought, that vocal's kind of clear on that bit in the middle. Let me take that. And I didn't know anything about piecing samples together, or even that, do you know what? You need to listen to the chords the track's in, or the key the track's in. I knew none of it. And I got so lucky because everything fit. So I always say the universe was showing me that day, this is what you need to be doing for the rest of your life. We're going to give you an easy break on this one. Everything's going to work. You're going to come out of a bit of a banger. And that's really, that's what's going to set you off for the rest of your life. So I went in the studio, put everything in there. 4 hours later, I just come out with this track. And when I was making it, I had goosebumps. So I knew, oh my God, if I'm feeling this in the studio, I can't wait to hear it in a rave. So I just had this and I thought, right, I need to get this to a record label. It was that you wouldn't be going online and looking at websites or Google. Nah, none of that. So I had to go to the local record shop, and I just went in there. Didn't have enough money to buy any of the records. So what I did was I went in there with a little biro and a bit of paper, and I just saw Moving Shadow. I thought, I've seen someone play that a track in the club. There was that Two Bad Mice record. I thought, yeah, I like that. Let me write their number down. And I might have wrote a couple of others down, but I called them first. Mobile phone, had to ask my mum. You know them phone bills back in the day, calling from your mum's house. That mobile bill weren't easy, so I had to ask my mum. So the phone bill was a bit heavy. Called the guy, and the guy answered. It was Rob Playford, who actually owns Moving Shadow. He was like, yeah, send it over. So I sent it over, and a few days later, I get a phone call. Yeah, we love it. We want it. Oh my God, it's amazing. Da, da, da. I'm like, whoa, I couldn't believe it was all happening. They signed the track, and then it kind of went quiet for a few months. And then one day, I get a phone call. No, one day the phone's ringing off the hook because it was a night, I think Top Buzz played it on this iconic set. Jumping Jack Frost played it. It was all over Dreamscapes and Rain Dancers, and it just blew up literally over this weekend, and everyone went crazy, and that was it. The tune just kind of took a life of its own and done its thing. So it's a real blessing.
It's an understatement of a banger, because I would say that song is probably up there in I'd say the top 20, because I can't say 100 because you can't. The top 20, and I'd say that's definitely down there number one, because that I can't explain that song. I've got both versions. I've got the Two Bad Mice version and the one with the big black handprint on it.
Yeah. That's my hand, by the way.
So
I had to dip my hand in ink and put it on the label, and it took about a week for my hand to get back to normal again. So the Seal thing, because I didn't get that version. There's been, I think I've got a Moody Cop year that I'd have to put my gain on about. Yeah, some people decided to basically, them bootleggers back then, it was like the Wild West. And what they might do is they might take Music Takes You, then they might take like a Mannix track, then they might take a sub bass track, then they might take just bang a 4-track EP out and just chances, really. It was kind of crazy back then.
I mean, the quality of this is like absolutely poo. It's like you're better off mixing concrete than mixing that into anything. It was a really bad. So did you have to drop the vocals from that then?
Yeah, so what happened was, so I didn't even know. I thought you just use someone's vocals and everyone's happy as Larry, off to the races, you can just use what you want. But what happened was, because the track started blowing up and picking up momentum, I realised, well, what happened was, hold on a sec, my cat's scratching at the door. I need to go sort this out.
That's fine.
Well, he beat it. Right. So what happened was, so Seal's people heard the track. They were really feeling it, and they contacted Moving Shadow. And originally they were he was going to sing on it. But what happened was, I think he was just about to do the Batman soundtrack, and they didn't want him to be involved in another rave record because he'd just come off the back of Adamski Killer,
Yeah.
which was a massive hit. And so I think they wanted to distance themselves a bit from the rave kind of scene. And yeah, so in the end we had to take it off. But he almost sung on it, which would have been kind of crazy. But then that would have meant maybe I'd have been signed to a major label when I was 17. And I don't know if my life might have gone in different paths. Who knows what would have happened then?
Do you know what? To be honest, being that age and to make like an underground tune that blew up to be like, you know, an anthem is like, you must be quite proud of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because from that age, I don't, you know, I was speaking to my mate who set this up today. I was like, you ain't got to be wired up right at the age of 17 that you've made this tune. It's like, who does that at the age of 17?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I look back now and I realise, like graffiti days, I look back at photos and think, how the hell did I do that when I was 15? Do you know what I mean? They're like, at the time, I don't know, it just felt right. But I look back now and think, they're like really big projects, these massive walls, do you know what I mean? Where all kinds of organisation went into it and you were there for days on end and all this stuff. But I don't know, maybe back then, because you didn't have the internet and all that, I think you were a lot more resourceful. And I think kids you just made things happen. So now you can kind of decide to have an idea, but then for about 4 weeks procrastinate on it and be Googling up this, that and the other, when really back then you just did it. So it wasn't really anything apart from just doing it. That's all it was.
It's crazy, like literally. So you know, after you make that, you know, what you go on? Because do you know what? I forgot you teamed up with. I remember Blame and Justice. I literally forgot about that guy. You know, no disrespect to him, but you know, when things happen like that. So what did you go on to do next after that?
Well, after that, everyone was screaming for follow-up. So everyone wanted to follow up. And I then suddenly realised I came crashing down to earth with a bang. Right, okay, I'll back up a bit. Music Takes You's blowing up. I'm 17 and I'm starting to get a bit of money. I'm starting to drive around in Renault 5 GT turbos, paying like 12 grand insurance a year because no one wanted to insure no one wanted to insure a 17-year-old in a GT turbo. So I was living, you know, the lifestyle because, I don't know, it took over. When that blows up at that age, you're not really equipped to be level-headed. And so I was having fun, partying. I was enjoying life. The one thing I wasn't doing was making music, right? I was enjoying life too much. So then it was like, one day I went to the cash point, went to get some money out, and it was like, I think it swallowed my card, right? And it was like, no, you've dried it up. So I thought I need to make a follow-up, and I thought, yeah, you know, how hard is it? I went in there for 4 hours last time, made a banger. I'll just do it again. Nah, it's not that easy. The universe was good to me on that first day, so it's making the follow-up was real tricky. It took me a lot of work, and it was it ended up coming out. It was called Feel the Energy, and it had Feel the Energy, Are You Dreaming, Sound of Angels. It was like a EP, 6-track kind of EP on Moving Shadow. And it done all right, but it wasn't the same as Music Takes You. And what happened was, it's only in recent times, it's funny, I thought nobody liked it. It's kind of crazy, but it's only in the last couple of years being on social media when people are going to me, I might put up a post going, oh, the tricky follow-up, the tricky second, you know, the famous second album, and all, as they always say. So I did this, I put it out that, oh, do you know what? I was a bit disappointed with this. You know, I wish it might have gone a bit better. And then I started getting messages, what? We loved it. No. So a lot of people actually really liked it, but there was just no way for me to know back then. Because what would happen is someone if they liked it, they'd have to write a letter to the record label. The record label would get it. There'd be a big bin liner of letters. At one point they go, oh, they'd just sling them out. I wouldn't even know. I'd turn up and they'd be like, oh, I think there might have been a letter for you somewhere. I don't know where that's gone. So that was it. So I never even knew that anyone liked it until about 20 years later. So now I feel good about it again.
I suppose that's the magic of social media. You know, sometimes it's used for stupidness, and sometimes it actually like boosts back again. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you know, when I've looked, you know, you've been involved with some major labels, like major labels. When like I was flicking through something the other day, I think I tagged you and I sent it to you. That you were even like signed to Metalheads, weren't you? You made something on Metalheads. I've got that here.
So I've released on Moving Shadow, Metalheads, Hospital Records, Mampy Swift's Charge recordings.
Yeah, I've got some of that stuff.
Yeah, Good Looking. I did some stuff with, but then kind of V recordings as well. But then what really started to happen was I started to get a lot of remix projects. And so I ended up getting a chance to remix some of the iconic tunes I grew up with, like Robin S. Show Me Love. Like getting to remix a track that I used to go out and just love listening to back in the day. You know, classic kind of house garage anthem from the early 90s. So I remixed that. Then I got the chance to remix Ray's Break for Love, which is another classic on Champion Records. Then I started getting some crazy phone calls like remixing Michael Jackson, which is a kind of mad one. So I'm so yeah, wow. Remix Michael I worked with on the David Guetta and Kelly Rowland #1 record, which is kind of mad, When Love Takes Over. So it was like, yeah, I just love remixing big records.
And do you know something? You know, you get these artists, and I'm not digging at no one. I'm not digging at no one. The music's you can tell who it is. So you can say that's Jack Jones down the road, or that's Bullfrogs up the road, or whatever. I know who that is. I can tell because they've got that distinctive sound to it. I think with you, it sounds different every time. Never sounds the same.
That's. I'm glad you said that, because I always try and do something different. But a lot of people say, yeah, that's you can tell you did. So some people say they can tell I did it, but I don't know.
Can't. I can't, because I've listened to a few tracks like that you've made, and I'm like, it don't sound like you, because someone always uses that same, either the same kick or the snare or in a certain way, and you know, it's no disrespect, because some people want to be known for that, some people don't, and I don't think you sound the same on like all the tunes. Me personally.
Well, I think if you've had tracks out in '91 and then you've had tracks out today, you have to evolve. You have to keep it moving, because you've always got to adapt, because it's really tricky. So say you make a track and it's a success, and then, you know, when someone follows it up with an exact carbon copy of that track, they might just change a couple of things. Everyone's like, oh, he's just done the same. Oh, no. He's washed up, whatever.
Yeah.
But then if you do something really different, oh, he's changed. We liked him when he was like that. So what you got to do is that fine balance of making a track that's different enough, but the people that like your last one still like it, but it's not too samey. So I'm always trying to do that, which slowly leads you further and further away. And the funny thing is I get people that say, oh, I loved you when you made Music Takes You, right? And then I might get someone else who goes, oh, I loved you when you were doing your Metalhead stuff. Or someone else might say, oh, you need to go back and do more when you're on Good Looking. And someone else might say, you need to do more of your vocal tracks, like when you were getting it going on Radio 1, mixing Show Me Love and all that stuff. So really what I've worked out is, when someone gets into your music for the first time, that's the kind of how their heart's attached to it. And that's how they want you to always kind of be. But I think you've always got to keep it moving and evolving. Otherwise it's not a career, because I'm lucky enough to say that I can still make music, and that's what I do. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I'd have just stayed making like versions of Music Takes You forevermore, you know? So you've always got to keep it moving and evolving.
And the thing is, like, you know, music moves on. You know, we see that went for hardcore. You know, that went into the jungle. You know, went into drum and bass. You know, all the subgenres of everything. To be honest, like, you know, I try if I'm in the studio because you know I've worked like I've worked with Alex Banks, Easy Rollers.
Yeah.
He only lived 10 miles from me up in Norwich, so you know he's engineered one of my tracks every
I
time.
thought you were still in the Bronx. I thought you were still in the Bronx.
Well, listen, I'll tell you a true story about saying this quickly. Sidetracking. I was doing a sound engineering course in Paddington Green, and a load of these blokes come over and they're like, where are you from? I'm like, Edgware. They're like, oh, right, Edgware Road. And I'm like, no, Edgware. Like, what the posh part? I'm like, no.
Yeah, they haven't seen some of these places.
I was like, it ain't posh down there, mate. It ain't posh. But I used to end up saying I come from Kilburn or something because I'd never heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of consider it out of London, but it's still on the tube. You can still get a tube to school at the end of the day.
Yeah, so you know, when I'm in the studio and this stupid business ain't got us all wrapped up, because I've got a couple of tunes out there, I try and sound so different. As you say, I don't want to sound the same because you know you need to take it on as long as it's still on par with the rest of the stuff. You need to, you know, as you say, you need to take it a bit further, don't you?
Yeah, you always need to keep it moving. And the way I see it is, it's like write the page and keep it turning, and write the page and keep it turning, and just keep it moving. And that's the way you learn, because sometimes you learn from your mistakes, and you learn when things don't go right, and then you think, do you know what, next track I do, I'm not going to be messing around with that sound or this, that and the other, or I've learned a technique. Then you bring it into the next track, then eventually something goes wrong in that next track, then you fix that, and then you learn from the next one. So it's always a matter of keeping it moving, developing, and staying hungry, and enjoying the studio time, and enjoying exploring new avenues and new directions, really, because that's what it's all about, you know, just living life and enjoying making music.
And you know what? It's again, I know technology moves forward, and a lot of people do stuff on their laptops, but I'd rather sit a week in the studio and get it right. So you know when you're sitting there, and you're like, does that sound right? You know, you're gonna have to come back from it to you know, give your ears a rest, go back to you know, because I'll spend about a week in the studio, like someone's studio, and you know what I think is, I'm like, that's not right, that don't sound right, that needs EQ, and that the bass line needs to come up or it needs to come down, vice versa. So I don't know, like I get technology moves on, and a lot of people are making stuff on the laptops. I don't know if that's the way forward, because you know there probably is an EQ processing that you can get on there or something or not. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Well, you can pretty much do everything on a laptop, but I love it. Actually, for me, I love being in the studio, playing the keys, jumping on the different synths, you know. And so for me, it's a matter of, do I want to work on a laptop all day, or do I want some synths? Because I'm in here 7 days a week. I'm in here 15 hours a day, right? It's basically, it's my life. I love it. It's what it is, me. But you can do it on a laptop, and some people get great results. But I just find, if I want to keep the excitement and enthusiasm, I love to have my outboard synths and my gear and the studio environment. And I remember once, so when I used to be touring around, I had a laptop set up, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to be on the road, I'm going to be on the plane, I'm going to be making tracks. So I'd be on the plane, and I'd, like, you know, those little mouse pads on laptops, I always used to like a real mouse. So you're using the mouse, and then the woman comes past you with the trolley, you're just turning the hi-hat EQ up, and then she bangs your elbow, and you like blow your ears out. So I thought, you know what, I think I'd stick to the studio. But yeah, you can get some really good results with laptops, but I think it's the best of both worlds. If you can have the laptop for your travels and the studio for when you're at home.
Yeah, I mean, like there is, you know, when I'm listening, there's some really good, like Well, there's some good music out there, jungle and drum and bass. There's really some good stuff out there. You know, like when I think, you know, Shy FX never lets anyone down. He always comes back. You know, if he's making Crackman or Wolf or, you know, Balaclava, usually like MC Spider and people like that, man. Like, you know, there was some great stuff out there at the moment. You know,
Oh
to say
yeah.
there's a lot of people going, oh, like Jungle took a knock and stuff, and it's like, it's always been there, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Everything works. Everything has its peaks and valleys,
Yeah,
and real strong foundational music like jungle is always going to be there. But there's going to be times where it takes it's popping, and times when it just bubbles a bit more underground. Then it pops again, and that's all good
yeah,
because drum and bass and jungle, they kind of coexist and weave in and out of each other.
yeah,
And to be honest, it's a real blurry line because when I was making, so say on Moving Shadow, my tracks would be getting played in jungle raves. And then I've
yeah.
got tracks where like I'm on Music Takes You's on like a History of Jungle album, but then someone else might go, oh, that's not jungle. This, do you know what? We were all there at the time and it was all getting played under one roof and no one had any problem. It seems
No,
like it's people now online deciding to carve things up in their own minds. That's jungle, that's not. We were all under one roof and it was all getting played. And so it's wicked when you see someone like Shy FX still smashing it, still doing his thing, and there's so many of the veterans out there still doing it, your Brockies and
yeah.
Debts and Rons and, pioneers of the scene. So it's wicked to see.
So like as like you know, I was going to ask you this. You know, like going up through the Music Takes You thing. So like, who did you sort of like? I'm gonna like inspired to like look up. Who was like producers out there that you thought was like, yeah, you know,
So when I was starting to look at records and think I'm really wanting to make something in this game, there was things like, it was funny, it was a lot of the stuff from Belgium. So you had things like T99 Anastasia, which had the big
yeah,
choirs in, and when you heard that in a club with the smoke machine and the lasers, it was like the heavens had opened when you heard those tracks. So there was, and they were coming from Belgium. So you had things like T99. You had Outlander with a big piano, bum
God,
bum 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 bum. But yeah, absolute anthems.
vicious, vicious.
Beltram, Energy Flash, bob 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 bob. All them classics from back in the day. And then people started mixing the breakbeat. Even like Moby had a Go, which was a
Yeah,
banger back then.
everyone forgets
Sweet
about that tune.
Sensation, yeah, Sweet Sensations, Shades of Rhythm. What was that? We Are E,
Lily the
Manic,
Ice.
yeah, Manics, Feel Real Good. Oh man, so many. I mean, and then you had all the piano anthems like Sweet Harmony and all those classics.
You know, I think you know as the English we you know, and don't forget we did take a lot of the if it weren't for the Belgium lot, as you just said, like Belgium and people like that, you know, I remember Paul Ibiza saying that you know he used a lot of that techno stuff.
Oh yeah, those were the sounds. Those were the rave stabs. So that's
Yeah,
what it was. You'd get one of them Belgian records, you'd sample the sound. Next thing, it might be in a like a foul play track, or do you know what I mean? So that is really where it comes from. It's so the lines can be drawn so far back, and then they were taking their sounds from a lot of orchestral music. So they might
yeah.
sample like something that might be at the end of a Beethoven record. Right, then they take the then they'll be sampling that up and down the keyboard. And so it's madness how it all evolves. So it kind of, the line goes way back.
What like the guy that owns a radio station with me, he's I was speaking to him the other day, and he's like, this dude, he shows you everything. So you know when you do your videos with the pianos and this and that.
Who? I show you everything, or he shows you everything?
No, no, you.
Okay.
So what's really cool, because you break it down and go like, so when we do this and do this and do this, right? Like he was watching a few of your videos, and I was like, this geezer's like crazy, mate. You know what? I'm going to call him Green Sleeves, because how did you learn to play the piano?
I learned to play the piano. I had no lessons. Do you know what all I did was? I just wanted to play them riffs that I used to hear in the clubs. So I wanted to learn, how can I play Sweet Harmony? How can I play Mannix, Feel Real Good? Or, you know, all them classics. So I'd just be like tinkering away. And so my practice, like, so when a lot of people do piano practice, they're practicing scales, you know, up and down the key. I was practicing rave riffs. So that was it. Just practicing rave anthems. So I don't know, I've probably learned a lot of bad habits, and I'm probably like, if a real pianist would come in and look at what I do, they'd probably be quite, I don't know, they'd be like, yeah, you've got a few bad habits that needs ironing out. But I learned it by just playing all the tracks that I loved. And it's great for entertaining your friends at parties as well.
Mate, if a pianist come in and said, there's some things that need ironing out, I'll be like, you need ironing out, mate. Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I do sometimes? I guess it's like if someone learns to drive when they're like 13 in some old, I don't know, beat up car around the ends, right? They learn to drive. Then when they have to come to pass their test, they've got so many bad habits that they have to unlearn what they've learned. But for me, I'm kind of cool because I just love playing all them kind of piano riffs. I'm cool.
I was looking at one of them. I think it was Two Bad Mice. I'm scared. I was like,
when they come round to the studio.
I was like, this guy's nuts, mate. He's absolutely bonkers. I was just like, what? Because things like that, I find really, really like off the scale, because I'm like, geez, how can you just sit there and start doing that? And I get what you say. It's like, I remember seeing Hype one day. I think he got annoyed with me because I see him in Paradise and he was scratching. I was in Stirrups. So I was like, this guy for real.
Yeah.
Things like that, just like, how do you just do that? But as you say, you know.
Do you know what I would say is, everything is all down to practice. If anyone puts their mind to anything and stays with it, you can do it. You can do anything. Like literally every day, half an hour a day, in a year's time, you'll be pretty damn good on the piano. Do you know what I mean? But you've just got to stick with it. So I always tell people, and I find unfortunately with some of today's generation, they want things a bit quicker. Oh, instant access. Yeah, they want instant access. If I want to listen to a song, I want it now. Boom, stream it. 10 seconds now. What's next? Like, I'll release a track and people say, wicked, love it. What's next? I'm like, we need to, you know, we should like let things simmer again. We used to have tracks simmering, bubbling for like 3-4 months. Now it's like literally halfway through the track, they want to know, they want to know what's next. And so I think if like, you know, any youngsters that want to learn that stuff, just practice every day, half an hour a day, and you'll get there. It's really important, and you can get the results.
Well, you know what? It ain't taught me nothing, because I've been trying to learn to mix for years, mate, and I still ain't got the hang of it. No, I'm only joking.
Come on, you're on the radio. You're doing all right.
Right, listen. I want to talk about the brand new tune that you've done. So, what is that? A couple of months old? A month old?
Which one? Because I've done quite a few. I've done the one that I've done a remix on Champion Records called "Get Loose." Got to Get Loose.
I think that's the one, because that's the one he was explaining. Yeah. So
yeah.
When did that come out?
So that came out a few weeks ago, and so what happened was, I did my video of when I made "Show Me Love," and I actually made the "Show Me Love" remix for it. It came out on Ministry of Sound,
right?
But originally, it was released on Champion Records. I don't know if you remember, legendary UK label.
Yeah.
And so then they sent. So the A&R man sent me a message saying we need to talk, and I thought, hold on a minute, have I just put it up on Facebook and I'm about to get some copyright claim? So I was like, you know, and he was like, yeah, love it. We want to send you something new to remix. You know, are you up for it? So it kind of worked out that they got back in touch with me because they saw me doing one of my videos, which was cool. So then when I made the video with that, it kind of came full circle. So yeah, they contacted me. They had a track. It was like a bit of a trance dance anthem from, I'm saying, around, I think it was around 96.
Right.
And I never really heard it back then because I was always more into the jungle drum and bass scene back then. But it was quite big on the break scene and in that era. And I listened to it and I heard some of the sounds and I thought, yeah, I think I could put my touch to it. So yeah, they just sent the samples over. I started listening to it and then I hit record and filmed the process
Yeah, I
to
see
just
that,
kind of
man.
show people how I did it.
You know what? It sounds a really a really good track. Not saying that because you're on here in an interview. I ain't trying to make your head blow up or nothing, but it really does. The way you explained it and everything, when you listen to it, you're just like, "Cool, that is
Yeah,
pretty
because
crazy."
also it's a challenge because sometimes, like I said in the video, sometimes they'll say, we want a blame track. We just do what you do. Just don't worry about it. Do whatever you love. And you know, that's what we want to put out. But as I said in the video, sometimes the A&R man, they've got an idea. They go, oh yeah, we really think we want to hit this market or that market, or we want those people to play it. So they'll come in with like a brief and they go, do you think you could do something like that? Like maybe one of your tracks you did over there. And so it's a bit more of a challenge, but I like it because you have to stretch yourself a bit and you know, you have to let go. You have to take a few more risks, get out of the comfort zone, and you always learn something. You always pick
Yeah,
up some new tips and techniques when you have to do that.
but it's pretty cool. I'm not going to cut you off. I just want to see something for a second, mate. Oh, that's all right. You know, there's some people like on there, but I just because I was missing out in comments, I didn't know if anyone was going to ask you something or other, but that's fine. It's fine. So you've got more stuff on the horizon coming up soon, haven't you?
Yeah, I've actually got something that's really exciting. Is my old friends Two Bad Mice from Moving Shadow. They're relaunching a bit of an exciting project. They're relaunching something, and I've got the very first release on that. And I've just got the TPs, and I've just signed them. It's on my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter right now.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting because it's like coming full circle with my old friends that I released my first record with, and all these years later, I'm releasing the first record on the label again.
So I
So that's
didn't really,
pretty exciting.
that's really cool when you can sort of go back to like Two Bad Mice. You know when they've obviously done a remix of Music Take You, didn't they, back then? So
Yeah.
that's good of them, like as well, to bring you on board as well to go back with those guys to release something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And to be first up on the label as well is nice as well, because all these things you hit are like little milestones, little things that make you feel good about, you know, because when you're in music for a long time, you got to keep the momentum, you got to keep the positivity, because especially with the social media world, there's a lot of artists I know that can't hack it. They go on and they post something up, and then the negative comments start coming in, the haters, people can really get at you quick. You can wake up and before you've had breakfast, like 20 people are telling you about that you're crap. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got to dust yourself off and get back in the studio and feel confident again. It's a real tough game.
I
So
think
I was going to say, you always need to have things that you make you feel good, to inspire you to keep going, to kind of give you that energy to keep that fight going in the music game.
I think we know what social media has done, because I've been run off of I left Twitter for certain reasons. A long story, and when I've been doing like the breakfast shows and stuff like that on like Upfront, I'll get people coming and go blah blah blah, and it's like, well, if you don't like it, watch one and go and watch another station. As you say, you sort of got to dash your way, because you're always going to have haters, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're Jumping Jack Frost, Brocky, that you're always going to get that pocket of scum that we all deal with. You have to. It's true. I see you only have to put something.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not always pockets of scum, right? because it might be someone, right? It might be someone that's just like, I loved your tracks on Moving Shadow. Why are you doing it? Or why are you doing tracks on Metalheads? And then someone would say, I love your tracks on Metalheads. Why are you doing tracks on V? And someone else might say, I love your tracks on V. Why are you doing tracks in Moving Shadow again? So it's kind of like, it's really crazy that when you've been through so many eras and so many labels, people love you for different reasons. And I get that, and you have to respect that. But I guess they don't quite think that you're moving through. So when I was on Moving Shadow, then Good Looking, then Metalheads, then Hospital, then Charged, then V, then all these other, you're moving through. It's like your timeline. You're never stood still. But they've chose you at that time, and they've realized I love you for that reason, and they don't want to hear you doing anything else. So but some people are just like, as you know, they're in their room, they're a bit disgruntled, they can't get their records popping, and they send nasty comments, and you just got to learn to. I mean, I got one guy once, he said to me, I'm on your Twitter, and all you do is post your music. Is that what you do? I was like, well, that is what my Twitter's for. So what do you want me to talk about?
Mate,
you know what I've had for breakfast, like, really, I'm not the guy that's going to start filming. Oh, look, here's my broccoli. I hope you guys here's some chips. Do you know what I mean? I'm not down with that. I want to put exciting stuff up. I want you to see my posts and be excited, not like, oh, this boring old gets just posting his food from yesterday.
You know what you should have done, didn't you? You should have said to the guy, do you know Burnt Oak or Edgewood? If you said no, you just said you're lucky then, because I would have had some of the hoods after you.
Well, what do you know what I do? Sometimes I get someone going, oh, I loved your track on Metalheads. Why did you do something on Hospital? And then someone might say, I loved your track on Hospital. Why didn't you do that on that? I just go, here's both your contacts. Knock yourselves out. Have a conversation between yourselves. And that's it. So, like, some people go, I love the A side. What was the hell were you thinking on the B? Some people might go, oh man, that B side's wicked. I don't know what you were thinking for the A. I'm like, there you go, guys. Discuss it amongst yourselves. You just cannot please everyone, but there's a real blessing, because we wouldn't be talking now without social media. And but basically you've got to have a tough skin, and you've got to just be positive and try and show people love where you can.
I've got two more questions. One is, did you after like meeting Alex Banks at like Easy Rollers, I didn't know he was hyper experienced. You know, a lot of them dudes went under aliases. Did you go under an alias at all?
I did. I went under an alias back then called K9, which was on their label Section 5 Records. Their Moving Shadow had a sister label, which was an alias for the label. So I had a track called Crazy Bad Boy, which was like a jungle kind of track. So I was an alias then. Then I went under a group called Icons along with Justice, which was a bit more 95, 96 jazzy. When we were going to things like the Blue Note or Speed in London. Then what else did I do? In more recent times, I've gone under the name Social Misfits with another friend, DJ Concrete, and that was on V Recordings.
I remember Social Misfits. You posted something.
So I've had a few over the years, but I'll probably just stick with Blame from now on. It's hard enough. You got to keep your name out there, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to go low key and do some like next projects that you don't want people to know about. But sometimes it's up to the individual, really, isn't it? That's what I gotta say.
Yeah.
So,
but I think for branding, it's good to keep your brand strong, keep your name strong, keep consistent releases. Instead of having like 15 different names and 15 different projects, no one really knows what you're for.
Yeah.
So
Right. So my last question is, when this is all over.
What over? This video or live?
This COVID rubbish.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'm gonna come and pick you up, and we're gonna go back to the hood, man, and we're gonna go because your old school, mate, is not Edgware School no more. It's called the London Academy.
Is it?
It's gone, mate. It knocked it down.
Because it used to be able to see it from the M1, the old sports field.
Yeah. So
is that gone now?
Mate, everything's gone. There's a McDonald's there, mate. Round
Serious?
the corner. Yeah, mate. So when this is done, we'll make a date. We'll go back. We'll see Colindale. We'll see Burnt Oak. We'll see Edgware. And it has changed, mate. For like, it's ridiculous.
Is it still grimy, or have they cleaned it up?
It looks. Colindale looks like New York, mate.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's made it. It all looks like a glass and everything. My family is still down there. I tend not to go back down there if I don't have to. But you know, I have to go and visit my mum and stuff. So it's like, you know, as I say, once this COVID's over, I don't know if you like my driving because I've only been past 2 years. So what I'll do is because I could, you know.
I'll tell you what. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there.
Right. You know what? Thank you ever so much, mate, for coming on.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
No, it's my pleasure because you know I've had like a couple of people let me down, and it's fine because this is a brand new concept for me. You know, I saw Ray Keith doing this on Radar Radio, I think, and I think, you know, getting a few people on just to explain it itself, not having 2 hour like thingy. So I've got big up Ray, you know, for that. Didn't nick it. I thought it's a good thing because, like, you know, my guests are all now rolling up into the middle of like November, and it's only been going a few weeks. So, you know, I'm trying to get like, I don't know, I'm going to try and attack MC Fearless to get him on here and stuff, like, you know.
Yeah.
Once your name's popped up, I'm going to start gripping everyone up. But
okay.
Yeah, Blame, thank you ever so much, mate.
All good, man.
Thank you ever so much. But as I say, well, once all this COVID's up, man, we'll have a meet up, man. And we'll do something, all right?
Good chatting, man. Take it easy, bro.
Big up. Brother.
All right. All good, man.
Take it easy, mate.
Cool.